bit lower because I reckon I'll be blocking your shot. Yeah, that's it.
All right.
There we
Brilliant.
go.
Cool.
We're hitting it, so let me just hit it.
All right.
All right, and welcome to the Pagey Train. Today I have on the show Tim Cheeseman, a filmmaker, musician, and experimental artist. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Man, I must say, this is a long time coming because I was talking to you online. I can't remember when. This is pre-crisis.
Must have been in February, right before the
It was this
crisis. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because my sense of time is gone.
Yeah.
Like, it's Friday today, but it may as well be Tuesday.
Totally.
But a public holiday Tuesday.
Yeah. It's I think it was February, and I was overseas at the time. I was living in Germany. But you know, now I'm back because of the crisis too.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a bonus for me because now you're back and I get to interview you. Because I've been waiting to interview you for a while, especially after your album release.
Yeah.
Which is really, really cool. But let's Germany. Why were you in Germany for?
I just wanted a bit of a change, I think. So I spent a lot of last year traveling. So I went about, just took some time away from working to death, basically, and went traveling, and then thought, I want to go live somewhere where I can learn the language and also just try and make stuff and meet cool people. And so I thought, bit of a stereotype, but that I go to Berlin and be an artist, But it was cool.
Yeah. So you were doing work there as a media practitioner, or?
Yeah, so I was working as a videographer and editor for these, pretty much doing artist documentation. So a lot of different artists making murals or sculptures and things.
Oh, wow.
I would sort of film their processes and...
Sounds like a terrible job.
That was really cool.
I need you to go to Germany, and I need you to do videography for artworks on graffiti walls and travel around Berlin. Sounds terrible.
Totally, yeah. I just went and I sort of fell into this great crowd of artists and makers. And usually I'm not someone who can make things with my hands very well. Mm-hmm. So it was very cool to just be around these, mural makers and sculpture makers. And yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah. Actually, the last time I did any reading about Germany, actually, or watching anything on it was about murals, actually.
Really?
Yeah. There was this guy. He was photographing graffiti or murals, right, that were in certain parts of Berlin.
Yep.
And then a year later come back and do the same photograph and find that the art had changed. And then he was geotagging on an app. So you as a tourist could go to Berlin and go, what was the painting before? What was it last year? And you can hold up the phone at the wall and it will slide through what its previous artworks were.
Wow.
I thought that was extremely clever. What a clever thing to do.
That's very cool. I also just now that you've said that, I read a story last year about a part of the Berlin Wall was actually found in Blacktown. Did you know that?
No, I don't know this.
So it was someone had brought it over after the collapse of the wall, this pillar of the wall, and it was sitting in a warehouse for about 30 years or about 20 years, and then was in a car park for about another 8 years until someone discovered it was actually a part of the Berlin Wall and traced it back to where
amazing.
it was. Yeah, it was just found in Blacktown.
Yeah, we're in a car park, people walking by it every time going, look at that piece of junk.
Totally.
It's probably worth a fortune.
Yeah, and it was covered in graffiti from the time and from in Western Sydney
Oh, it's
as
definitely
well,
be worth something if
Totally.
it's got artwork on it.
Totally.
Because they will even sell, when the wall come down, you can go there as a tourist and buy a piece of the wall.
Totally.
Yeah. Did you buy a piece of the wall?
No, I didn't. I sort of... I don't know. I didn't know how to feel about it, like taking it away, but I saw it happening.
I would totally do that. I totally would. Because I collect stones.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've got stones from all over the world.
Really?
Yeah, I've got this crazy thing when I run into... when a mate says that they're travelling overseas, I would say to them, can you get me a magnet and a rock?
Really?
Yeah. And they go, a magnet and a rock. I go, yeah, when it comes to the magnet, it needs to be cheesy, stereotypical, cliche.
Yeah.
That's what you got to think.
Yeah,
the most cliche of magnets you can find.
What's the rock criteria?
Get it from a place of importance. Like I had a friend who was in Israel, and he got some from the Temple Mount, I think it was.
Yeah.
I don't think you're supposed to take rocks from there though. But I've got one.
Yeah.
I've got a rock from each corner of Australia. So the tip of Carpentaria, Albany, down in WA.
Right.
I've got all kinds of stones for all kinds of reasons. I've got some amethyst from Afghanistan that I've picked up.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a rock hound.
Wow. Yeah. Rockstar.
Yeah, a bit of a rock star. Yeah, but of the geological type, uber nerdy as well. I know quite a bit about it.
Oh, I should have got some on the wall for you then.
Yeah. Well, I'll show you after the show. I've got there's a rock collection right there in that top cabinet there.
Oh,
and
brilliant!
Every one of them's got a story.
Brilliant.
I try to collect most of it myself. Yeah, like I try to get it or get someone to get it for me. Like, don't necessarily purchase a stone, but get a stone.
Yeah.
I had this weird thing to it. I think they hold energy and they tell the stones tell stories.
Right.
The strata of the earth tells us a story, and I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I haven't really delved so much into rocks before, but I have.
If you talk to my mates, I'd be like, oh yeah, you talk geology. Yeah, that's Ross. I'm terrible. But it's a shame that you had to come home. So obviously, from Berlin, the job sort of would have ended because of the crisis, or were you at the end of that job, or?
Yeah. So I was working sort of, different jobs to job. Which was pretty good.
That's a standard artist approach.
Yeah, and so I was filming these different things and also some events and things like that. Mm-hmm. But so I guess, all the events stopped and then people stopped commissioning art because they didn't know what their businesses and things were going to be. Go. So, so I thought, and basically right before our Prime Minister put out a level 4 travel warning for the whole world a couple of hours before.
Don't go to Earth, it's contagious.
Pretty much. I got a alert and got messages from about 5 people saying, and my family saying, it looks like if you're going to come home, you should do it now because the prices will go up. So booked a ticket, and then maybe a couple of hours later they were up by $1,000, the flights.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
wow.
So I sort of had to just rush out, and I guess they were a couple of weeks ahead of us here in everything closing down and things. So when I left, bars were still open here. Yeah. But then when I got back, sort of everything was.
So you've left Australia and you've come back to Australia to 1984, essentially.
Pretty much.
The draconian society. You may not drink a beer at a bar anymore without permission.
It really makes you appreciate the little things, though, right?
Totally, man. I ate a sausage roll today because I was out and about, and I ate a sausage roll.
Oh my God.
And I loved it. And I'm like, a servo sausage roll, you're hungry, you're in a rush, you don't really think about it. You go, this will fill the gap.
Totally, yeah.
But I savoured it. I was like, oh, this sausage roll that was prepared by somebody else.
Amazing, yeah.
Already hot.
You don't have to just cook your own meals all the time, and it's great to just get out. I had a lot of bars are doing those. You can take a liter of beer away from the tap for a certain amount of money. So I've done that a few times, and just a beer from the tap just tastes so different to a bottle. So
yeah, I went yesterday. I had my first beer on tap at the High Street Social. Had a pint of I think it was was it a 4 pints? No. Stone and Wood. Stone and Wood, yeah, good. Yeah, I love a Stone and Wood. It's really good beer. We got a bit loose though, because it's kind of like keeping a caged animal, locked up and then setting it free.
Yeah.
I had a wild night. Absolutely.
Amazing.
But while you were over there, because the reason I was talking to you online is because of the album that you've just released. Mm-hmm. Time for Love.
Yes.
Let me just say, fantastic piece of work. Absolutely loved it.
Oh, thank you so much.
And what an interesting album. So you do sounds that are found, and you go and discover sounds. Is that right?
Yeah. So it's sample-based plunderphonics music. So plunderphonics is like you make a whole new sort of music or sounds or album or something out of found sounds and things like that. So the whole album, Time for Love, is made up of over 800 different samples.
Oh, wow.
All from films, TV shows, records, cassette tapes, even some voice memos from my phone of just public places. And so all of those sort of collaged and weaved together into an album. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting because you've gone to Germany to look at people that are doing, sculptures and layered art, but in a physical form, and you're doing it in a audio digital form. But listening to that album, man, that would have been a lot of work, and exceptionally. Where did you find the time to do that?
Well, it was sort of made in between other projects over the last 5 years, closer to 6 actually. And I don't know, it's not really finding time, it's sort of a passion. So when I finish up work editing or something for the day, then I sort of sit at the computer and just collage different sounds. It's sort of how I make sense of thoughts and feelings and stuff like that. So I don't know, it didn't seem like a lot of work until I had to finish it. So
yeah, it's always that last push. It's the last walk up the mountain that's the hardest.
Yeah.
Especially when you bite off more than you can chew, and I think it's a good thing to do, by the way. Biting off more than you can chew is the best thing you can do.
Totally.
Yeah, forces you to learn.
Yeah, and I had been doing this, so I'd been kind of doing this sort of music for a long time. The actual project Roundhay Garden Scene I started in 2013 with a little EP, and then another little EP of beats and things like that, and then an album in 2014, and then I sort of didn't touch it, putting stuff out for a while. I thought it's not to the sort of standard I wanted it to be, and so I've been doing that. But even before that, it's sort of how I learnt to make music in the first place, because I was a drummer and I could drum okay, but I felt like if I wanted to make my own music, I didn't know how to play piano or anything like that at the time, so it was sort of just a way for me to learn how things fit together.
Oh, yeah, that's all right. Yeah. Okay, so that was 10 minutes in. We've got a mic knock. I think you have the current record. No, don't worry about it. So you learnt keyboard to do the album.
Oh, no. So before that, I didn't know how to play any other instrument than drums. So that's sort of how I learnt to make music or structure music, by just finding little sounds of albums and things like that. Not very well along in early 2000s, but that's how I learnt.
Yeah, okay. The time that I've used the keyboard is to figure out keys and notes with my voice. I'm doing singing, so hold down a note and then resonate with that note.
Yeah.
So I found that really helpful. That's the only time I've used a keyboard. I had to put stickers on my keyboard to do chords.
Yeah, me too.
And I still suck at it. So I can pull it off. Like if I've got a few people that don't really know a lot about music in a room, I can sort of fake it.
Yeah.
But anyone who knows anything about music go, that's horrible, don't do that ever again. So Time for Love. Where can we find Time for Love?
So it's on Bandcamp. It's at roundhaygardenscene.bandcamp.com. It's also, you can search it on YouTube or on SoundCloud as well. But it won't be on Spotify or anything like that, because it is technically got sounds that can't be used legally in the album.
What do you mean?
So I've been sampling them from songs and things that aren't out of copyright. So it would be illegal for me to sell them. So they're just
crazy though.
I mean,
because you're not replicating what other people have done. You're just using it as a sound.
Yeah, I mean, copyright law's kind of crazy, I guess, like, people over time have been sued for just using a snare drum sound in a hip-hop track, recently.
But so many get away with it, I think Ice Baby, I think, is one of the biggest offenders.
Oh, totally. What was it? The Queen?
David Bowie.
Yeah.
It's a David Bowie song, I think, wasn't it?
And it just goes dun dun
Under
dun
pressure.
dun dun dun. But then Vanilla Ice got away with it by going dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun,
yeah, but they're the same thing.
The exact same sound, the exact same everything. But I don't know. So I haven't put it on Spotify or Apple Music, just because, if it does come up or make money somehow, yeah, so it's more just a passion project. Thought I'd just put it out
I don't
for
know.
free.
I think it's probably. I think you'll find that. I don't know. Surely, if you change something enough, then it becomes yours, right? Because people sample stuff all the time.
Yeah, I mean, a good example would be with this is the Avalanches. They're another Australian group that do this sort of thing, and they have put out an album, similar amount of samples, even more. And every year they seem to get somebody suing them for use of a sound a tiny bit, or they have a dedicated sample copyright finder and ask to clear them for them. Where I guess I don't currently have that sort of.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah,
That's a hell of a lot of work for 800 samples.
Totally.
Yeah, you're in a train station doing a record. All right, everyone stop. I need you to sign this bit of paper.
Yeah.
Why? I'm doing an album. Okay.
Totally. So yeah.
Oh well, no, but it's still out there. So check it out on YouTube and Bandcamp. Bandcamp is a really good site. If you guys don't know much about it, it's a good place to launch your music.
Totally.
Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, no, bugger Spotify. Bugger 'em.
I think so. And I think Bandcamp also, for people selling their music as well, they get a majority of the profit, where Spotify and things like that get a tiny little...
I don't think that's the right... I think you've missed out a few zeros there. I think it's a tiny amount of money.
Correct.
Yeah, it's near extortion, actually. I don't know how long it would take for me to accumulate funds on Spotify. Like, to make a solid $1. It would take a while. Like a buck.
One of my favorite groups on Spotify is called Wolfpack. And the way they funded their first album is they put an album full of silence onto Spotify and got their fans to just play it and loop it.
Yeah.
And eventually they got enough money to fund some recording sessions.
Wow, they use silence to fund their album. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I try to put my stuff on loop, but I just end up listening. Oh no! Oh no! No, this is not happening to me. Sorry, I can't talk right now. Silent. I love you, Natalie.
That's brilliant.
I'll ring you back. No, I had a few drinks last night and I was going on a ringing rampage, ringing everyone I wanted to chat to and tell them that they were awesome.
Yep.
And she didn't answer, so I imagine that she's just ringing me back. First time for everything. My phone went off this time. Usually it's the guest, not me.
Yeah, mine is on airplane mode. It's yep.
Yeah, rookie error. Usually it's a case of beer on set. If we're on set, it's a case of beer if your phone goes off.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I've paid 3 cases of beer every time I've said it on set. If anyone's phone goes off, it's a case of beer at the rap party. Yeah.
Brilliant.
No, yeah, it's always my bloody phone after I say it. And I'm usually very disciplined with it too. I'll turn it off on most sets and then it'll be right after I've called action on something or working for a director. They've called action, then it will go.
Yeah.
Yes, you're also a drummer. Are you still in your band?
No, so I was playing in this band called Cookbook Book Club, which is about songs about food, cooking, and celebrity chefs while dressed up as chefs. So that was really fun. I was started that with my friend Andrea, who's the singer, and then we did that as a thing before I moved overseas, and then I got my lovely friend Flo to replace me. And they're killing it. Yeah, they're doing really well.
Yeah. No, they're good. Yeah, good for them. But you were in another band though. Was it Hillside Theory?
Yeah, I was in that quite a long time ago actually with Matthias Boller, who is a made
Get out of town. You mean Matthias Boller?
Totally.
The Matthias Boller.
Totally. So of Campesinos fame.
Yeah. Man.
Of made in Best in the West.
Best in the West Audience Choice Award. He took out the Double Crown.
Amazing.
It's been done once before.
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah. So he's and it's
hard thing to do.
Brilliant. So we met when we were both in high school, and we're in this really supportive network of friends and creators and stuff like that, musicians, and artists and things. It was really cool, and yeah, we were in a band together a while ago. We just released our demos that we recorded in 2014, 2015 or something. We had another little EP before that. Yeah, and I was drumming in that, and I've drummed in a lot of like Sydney bands and stuff. But yeah, none currently at the moment because there's all this COVID stuff.
Oh yeah, nothing's happening at the moment. If you're between bands, you're not going to get in one at the moment.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I've just got back, so yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, look, the tide will go out, you know, and we'll be able to get back to it. But yeah, even being in a band, like I'm in a band at the moment, and it's actually the longest running band I've ever been in.
Really?
Yeah, I think we're up to 6 years in this band, which is an amazing run for a band. Normally they last 2-3 years.
Yeah,
and that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've been touch wood, going 6 years, about to do the next EP. We've been working online. And writing online, so it's interesting forced hand. Interesting scenario.
Yeah, amazing. It's a nice time to be able to do that from home. So at the moment, I'm working on 2 different music projects actually outside of this Roundhay garden scene. So one is with my friend Robbie McPherson, and because I'm Tim Cheeseman, we're going to be Mac and Cheese.
Oh man, yeah, classic.
Classic sort of party band. And the other one I'm working on is like a weird mix of I sort of moved. The stereotype is move to Germany and become get really into electronic music or something. And that's exactly what happened. So I'm
like Autobahn.
Exactly, yeah. I'm a Kraftwerk fanatic. And so I'm working on a project at the moment that's kind of like a dance music album, but also a self-help self-improvement sort of tape one.
You really know these layers. You like to layer these things on. I was watching some of your work, and man, you are a funny man. You crack me up. I was watching your miscellaneous content, and you come to a pathway on your channel. You can either watch the 40 minutes of Tim Cheeseman's miscellaneous content, or you can watch the 40 seconds.
Yeah. If you
I felt like I was I can't remember what movie. Maybe Clockwork Orange or something like that, where they're doing the I can't remember the name of the doctor's experiment, but your eyelids opened up and it hit with all these images. Yeah, it was very much like that. It was hilarious.
Yeah, if you're in a rush, you can watch the 40-second version. But yeah, it's kind of
times 6,000, I think it was.
Yeah, and I think it's it's all these just little 1, 2, 3 minute things I've made online over the last couple of years, and I thought I'll just put it all together in one video, just because they get lost a lot of the time if they've been made years ago. So
you got me thinking. I'm like, I might steal that idea. That's a good idea.
You should do it. Yeah, I watch it.
The Pagey train in 40 seconds. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah,
it's actually not a bad promo idea. Watch this space. Yeah, absolutely hilarious, man. There was one other one I was looking at. I don't know if I fully understood. I didn't fully look into it. I only sort of skimmed over these clips, but it was the cereal every day. Can you explain to me this, just for my own benefit, not the listeners, but my benefit?
Okay,
what is the meaning of this?
I don't really know where to start with this one. So I made an sort of interactive Instagram series, I'll say, called 28 Days of Breakfast. And it's about me wanting to become sponsored by the great Australian cereal Weet-Bix. So I'm
it's already hilarious.
So I'm eating Weet-Bix every day, doing the Weet-Bix challenge. I'm adding Brett Lee. I'm adding Weet-Bix. Their social media teams are commenting, "Love this. Keep going. Whatever." And then at some point, I get sponsored by an unknown cereal brand. I get really famous, and which just. For your own knowledge, I bought some Instagram followers for this account as a part of the ongoing story. And I would interact with people watching and people commenting every day and post stories and things like that. So this happened, and the fame kind of gets to your head. And I spent all the money. I had like a 5-camera setup and had all this music and elaborate intro saying 28 days of breakfast, whatever. And then I lost the sponsorship because it just wasn't what it was.
Yeah, you went off your brand.
Well, I lost the wholesomeness. And then I was going hungry. All I wanted to eat was Wheat Bix. I had off milk. And then I eventually had to settle and get sponsored by a different cereal brand called Man Brand. And they were kind of started off as being really good, but they were sort of interfering with my content of just wanting to eat cereal. They wanted me to say messages like, I love Man Brand, it's my favorite cereal, whatever. And then they got really aggressive when I was going off track, and yeah, it was sort of like an interesting experiment in interactive media. Yeah.
I think it was, it was really cool. There's one thing, if I have to say anything about your channel to anyone, if you want to put a smile on your dial, go and subscribe to Tim Cheeseman's YouTube channel. You will feel better straight away.
Oh, thank you. That's a good compliment.
I think it was. You're a hilarious person. I've always known you. I've known you for a while because we met through Made in the West.
Made in the West, yeah.
But you're old school Made in the West too.
I was about.
Are you old school? I don't think you're old school. I think you're Paddington RSL.
Paddington RSL 2016.
Okay.
Was the first one I was at.
Yeah, okay.
The first film was in it. Yeah.
Actually, to do a plug for Rewind.
Of course, yeah. I think it was last
Friday?
Last Friday, my film Friend or Foe was in Rewind. Yeah.
We put up the old content because we've been putting up our old content for filmmakers in the past, especially during COVID.
Yeah.
Just trying to. Well, we got two objectives with that. We're trying to revitalise some old content that's just sitting there because we know that people necessarily aren't making new content. I know some people are, but the train has slowed down, and we wanted to entertain people while they're stuck at home.
Totally,
with an alternative.
It's great. It's great to see films that I've seen at Made in the West in the last few years again, because often they're not online as well. They're still hitting different festivals and things like that. So that's been great, and also just like see the huge showcase of Western Sydney talent and putting on a online film festival. It's brilliant. So
it's actually a bit of a prototype for potentially the future coming up, because we're obviously concerned about Made in the West. We're still going full steam ahead as if it's happening. We don't know what it's going to look like, whether it's going to be 50 people, 100 people, 300 people, but we're still putting in I guess you'd call it a safeguard or an opportunity to grow. So we're looking at how we can do this digitally. And so Rewind was sort of, setting up the scaffolding to do this digital presentation. Because it's a lot of work. It's very hard to synthesize.
Totally.
So, we wanted to develop some audience for that. And get some arrows pointing towards Made in the West. We were totally worried that the physical event couldn't happen, so we still wanted to keep that retention. And as a small film festival, that's a difficult thing to do. Losing a year is massive.
Totally,
it's a massive problem. Not to my surprise, but it was very a joyful feeling getting a lot of support from people going, that's fine, go out and do it, we'll be there in whatever fashion it is, man, it's all cool. Because I've had to make a lot of phone calls for Rewind to get permission for content. And the first 5 minutes is the brokering of that content. Like, I want to put this film in, and we're going to do it in the next 4 weeks, and we're going to do hostings. I need you to do a 30-second piece to camera for me. And then I realised the other 20 minutes of the conversation, half hour, is like, what are you doing now during COVID? And I've heard some terrible stories, like, because, we've been hit really hard.
Yeah.
Our business was hit really hard. We're fortunate our life is complex enough that we're still paying the bills. But we took a massive hit on our business, and some people it's 100%. It's everything. Everything just gone.
Totally.
So it's difficult terrain out there, and I really feel for some people going through this crisis. And I just hope on the other side of it, though, I do see the silver lining in this dark cloud, and that is it's forced our hand in a digital sense. Like we've had to, even the work industrial relations are going to change.
Totally. Yeah.
Like we're looking down the barrel at a 3-day weekend, and I'm loving that idea. I don't want to frame it that way for people that are going to argue against that. I'm just saying because it's cool to say. You're still going to work from home on that Friday.
Yeah.
But essentially, you're at home.
Well, it shows how easy it is. Well, once it's set up to be able to work from home, it's just I feel like a lot of businesses haven't had the chance in being so busy all the time to set up that sort of environment to be able to work from home. So yeah, I mean, it might mean we're allowed to be more flexible and things like that.
Yeah, I think just personally, just my mental health, I felt a lot better because I'm a workaholic. I'll be up at 6 or just before 6. I'll do an hour of commuting. I'll probably be researching content on my commute. I get to work. I work really hard at work. I come home from work, another hour commute, do some more research, get home, and then do more work. So I've actually found a good life balance. Still getting a lot of things done. I'm really proud of it, actually. Still Searching Productions and Made in the West have never put out this much content ever. Like we're making content. It's great.
Amazing. Yeah,
it's great. It's a really good feeling. And it's a good platform. So I see us getting positioned well for when the crisis is over, but it's hard to see what it's going to look like. I did watching the news yesterday, which I don't recommend. Don't watch the news, people. Don't watch the news. You'll get depressed. Just depressing. We call it the Covert Cycle.
Yeah.
So we hop onto the Covert Cycle, and Misty and I will look at each other and go, 20 minutes of Covert Cycle. Let's see what's happening. All right, because it can only take 20 minutes of that shit because you just go depressing.
Yeah.
And especially now, it's even more depressing because there's other things going on in the world. I just think that there is a possibility that it will work out well in the end. It's just that we've got to go through this struggle to get there. And easily said for someone in a privileged position. I'm doing okay, and I know others aren't doing that well. And I was watching the news, and it came out that they are looking at putting funding into production from the federal government. So but it's a politician's promise. I don't know how well you can trust that. But they have said that they're coming out and they're doing funding for films, and they're doing funding for music production, stage productions, this sort of thing. I didn't actually have the figure. They didn't say the figure.
Yeah.
It's probably about $500 and $20 million of exposure.
Exposure. Paid in exposure is brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. Exposure. The amount of times I've heard that.
Yeah.
The amount of times we get good exposure out of this. Like, we do that ourselves, man. Like, we are full trench coat in the train station exposing ourselves. We don't need your help to do that.
But I do hope that after all this, it could really go either way. That people realize how great it is to be at home and relaxing on the couch. People, I think, are appreciating that more, or people are really itching to get out and go to festivals like Made in the West, or gigs, or live music, or just be out. It's such a joy for me at the moment to just go for a walk or get out of the house. So to be able to go see things again, I hope that people really appreciate it and spend more money on these things when the industry sort of comes back.
Yeah, well, I was actually a big shout out to Adam. We were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. I hope that they take 4 or 6 poker machines out of each venue and put it in a little stage, because the PowerPoint's already there, right? That's that bit's sorted. No electrical infrastructure already exists. Just remove 4 pokies.
Yeah.
Put up in a little stage, and then put out an ad on Facebook, get on Instagram, going looking for musicians. It wouldn't be too hard.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
I think there will be a bit of an outcry for live production, but I think this live production is going to go haywire. I reckon the example I use is yoga instructors, right? So at the moment you can't have people in your studio if you're a yoga instructor. So you get you're doing streaming. So you stream, and you can get anyone. You can have someone in Saskatoon doing your yoga class, right?
Totally.
Why would you remove that infrastructure once people are allowed back in your studio? You just do both.
Yeah. You know what? I would I'm not particularly good at yoga, so I would much rather do an online yoga session so no one can see me be bad at it and join from your own home. And yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah, there'd be a total market there for that. And I reckon as well, like, you look at live performances. I think it won't be too far from people's thinking going, oh, you know what? I'll get a camera on my phone on a tripod in the corner, and I'm going to stream this gig. And people do that, but I reckon that uptake of that digital sphere is going to be a lot more once this unfolds.
Yeah.
So I'd really see a hybrid thing out there. Yeah. It's a question of when we get out of it and how much money's been blown against the wall, and how well our our glorious leaders are going to look after us.
Yeah, with the live thing, I think it's a great time for people to experiment with that as well. I have a lot of friends doing live gigs and things like that on their phones or whatever. And some are really good, and some are...
It's all your guitarist friends, isn't it?
Totally.
Yeah, it's all my guitarist friends as well. Yeah.
It's hard to do that as a drummer, you know, but...
It's hard to do that as a vocalist. A heavy metal vocalist. They can't just do a performance for everyone.
Yeah, how do you think that works from home, like being a metal vocalist on a live thing? Do you think it gets the right atmosphere?
I reckon it could. It would take some thinking. Obviously, there's lots of latency issues depending on how you'd set that up. But as far as production goes, though, maybe not performance, but production, we've been doing really well. Like, we've written more music in the last 3 months than we have in the last 2 years.
Amazing.
It's great.
Yeah.
And it's all made us work a little bit harder. Big shout out to drummer from Mendoza, Rob. He's just normally the drummer in the band, and everyone shows up and does their part. We might go and work with a producer to produce our work, and then get it mastered. Bang, got an press an EP. But we're becoming more self-reliant. We're more self-produced now.
Cool.
Rob's really gone right into the software end of it. And he's done his drums on I can't remember what the software was. Guitar Pro. So he's on Guitar Pro doing his drums, but he's not like recording them live. He's like inputting them.
Oh, right. Yeah, cool.
And that would be a massive lesson to learn. If you've never done that before, if you're just a drummer that's drumming away.
Yeah.
And then you go into your software and go, how do I think about this linearly on bars?
Yeah.
It's a different process.
You're not just jamming out to it. It's really like...
Yeah, I want this here, I want that there.
Yeah.
It's very targeted. And I found that as well as a vocalist approaching music in this scenario as well. Because there's different ways you write music, right? You write it on the fly, or you have a premeditated idea, or it depends who's driving it. Lead guitarist in most scenarios will be leading a song, but sometimes you might have a vocal line that I go, hey man, can you write something to this? Or bass guitarist will just start with an open chord, and we start jamming on it, and bang, we managed to hit record, and we've got a song.
Amazing.
But in this time, we're doing stuff to a click track. So lead guitarist will put out his riff to a click track, and then drummer puts to the click track. And doing a click track is freaking awesome, man. I've only ever done it in a studio. I've never done it between band members before. It's so awesome, man. It's so much easier. So easy.
Yeah, and it's becoming a lot easier to do this sort of thing from home as well. I mean, I think even just putting out this album I learned all this just because in high school we got given a laptop. And so it had, Apple software on it. It had GarageBand, and so I could just learn how to do it as a way to, express myself, click tracks, everything. And it's made life so much easier in the last few years. Just, people can't make the recording, do it from home. Maybe besides drums, we would try to do a bit more professionally, but with bass and guitar and vocals, plug in at home and just do it. It's great.
Yeah, I was talking. I can't remember what I was talking this about. Like, before the digital age really took off, you'd have bands that would be putting like a fishbowl of water under a desk with a pickup underneath, and to create a guitar sound that is impossible to rip off. Right now, you can just download it. Yeah, you can just get the plug-in. Right, got that one.
Totally. Or even like recording drums in like a huge hall or something to get it echo out, and now you can just drag how much reverb, how much you want the sound to draw out. Yeah, and it's so easy.
Yeah, you can do that room mic sound. Yeah. I do love that. Who was it? It was. It's obviously Phil Collins. Phil Collins. That's in the air tonight. He's got the mic over the drum kit. That was discovered by accident.
Yeah.
They left that channel open.
That's amazing.
Bang, new idea.
Changed the 80s, right?
It changed music. It changed everything. And I think they're starting to go back to that. It's that sound's starting to come back a bit.
Yeah. On the snare especially, it's just like, yeah,
definitely recognisable. But it's it's an attractive sound, I guess. I wonder why that is, though. Some sounds are attractive versus others, and there's usually a generic set of sounds that we find attractive. And if you look at tritones, you get stuck in this tritone. There's no avoiding it. You can't get out of it.
Totally. I wonder as well with these things. Say that echoey snare sound. It was probably, at the time, was really futuristic, and then now it's kind of nostalgic, sort of changes its meaning,
that's an interesting observation.
All these dance songs and things using this snare, it sounds like, well, for me, I was hearing these sort of sounds when I was younger, and then it's sort of come back. So
it's a reference rather than looking at the future. We're looking back.
Totally. Yeah, all those 80s synthesizer sounds, are now nostalgic.
Yeah, and at the time, they would have been really futuristic. I remember listening to Queen.
Yeah.
I was 17, drinking some very good beer. No, that's actually not that's from The Simpsons.
The Simpsons version, yeah.
Yeah, no, but my story is that I'm listening to Flash Gordon. The song Flash Gordon.
Yes.
Or Flash, I think it's called, by Queen. And it goes, Flash, savior of the universe. And it's got all these little sounds that are in the background of that. And that was futuristic.
Yeah.
I remember running that through the Pioneer speakers, going, this is awesome, I love it.
Yeah.
And that would have been in the 80s, I think. It would have been about 9 when I was doing that.
Yeah.
I found that futuristic, but now you go back and listen to it, it's quite, clunky and rudimentary, but still nostalgic though.
Totally. Yeah. And they would have spent a lot of time and money on getting those sounds, and you can do it a lot easier now from your home.
Shit, you can do it from your phone now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, I was talking again though. I keep referencing back to bands now. Band chat that I've been in lately. We used to record because I've been doing this for 20 years, and more than 20 years. To record a band session, you'd have a tape deck with a towel over it. That was the technology. Yep. If you didn't have the money, that's what you did. That's how you recorded your tracks. And then you'd go take the tape, record, duplicate the tape, give it to everyone, learn this, and I'll see you at band practice next time. And then, then you go to, fast forward to, Zen Studios in St. Peter's, right? And they'd have a computer in the corner, and they're running it through. I think they were doing Audacity. I can't remember what software it was, but it allowed you to have 2 room mics and record your session.
2 room mics.
2 room mics.
Huge, yeah.
Fancy. Very fancy. Yeah. And you would, punch out a CD.
Yeah.
You get a CD right there and then you go duplicate that, print, do 4 of those. There it is, an immediacy. It went from me taking a tape home, or taking a mini disc home, or but it went to me giving a CD to everyone, going, go learn that. That's the new song.
Yeah.
Went from that to, all right, so I've got this on my phone. I've just uploaded to SoundCloud. I just sent you the link.
Yeah.
All right, you have it immediate and you have it on demand.
Yeah, and you can share it with the whole world.
The whole world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you've got to be careful with your privacy settings.
Totally. Yeah.
That's not for public consumption. It sounds horrible. It's a meaning idea. I think when I've been around people that don't really know about the music process, you could be writing a song and they'll be going, "This doesn't sound like it's going anywhere." I'm like, "Yeah, but we're at the beginning. Like, we're working it out because it's a language.
Yeah,
we've got to communicate that language, and we're trying to figure out how this works. And that's the part of the writing process I really enjoy.
Yeah,
is working it out, and then having that moment with your fellow musician, going, "Yeah, this is it. This is definitely it."
Yeah,
I love those moments.
It's like it's always a. It's always a happy accident as well. Like whenever you find those sounds, you're aiming towards it, but you never know when that one thing's just going to click and work. It's it's amazing.
Yeah, I think I suffer sometimes in lots of work that I do, whether it's film or music. And that's the death of the author. There's parts of a movie that you make and you go, people are going to love this bit. And that just washes right over your audience. You're like, you didn't like that bit. And then you hear them laugh at this other bit. And you're like, you like that bit?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't really like that bit. It just reminds you that what's particular to you is not necessarily particular to everybody. Because even listening to your album, Love for Time. In my mind, I keep saying Love for Time. It's time for love.
Yeah.
Every time I've been sampling your album, I'm like, I wonder, like, do you even know how deep this is? It is so deep, man.
So all of the sounds in the album mean different things to me, particularly. But I also tried to leave it vague enough for people to make up. Yeah, that would be great. I try to leave it vague enough for people to draw their own experiences on, and so there's lots of like different sounds as well that are, to me are specific moments, and other parts that are just little filler things that I just put in, but other people have said that's their favorite parts and things like that, and other people, Do you think that's a subconscious thing when that happens? Because I know what you're talking about, right? You go, I've got the scaffolding of what I'm making, and I've got the blocks in that scaffolding. There's some little gaps there. You go, I need to fit that. I need to put a little bridge in there to fit that together. Yeah.
And you go, oh, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. Oh, that works. That'll do.
Exactly.
And that's it.
That'll do is was a big part of finishing it off. Which parts for one part, there's a song in there that I knew was going to be in this album. I didn't know what the album was even exactly about until about a year ago. And then it sort of clicked that they all had this certain meaning and sort of followed this sort of relationship sort of outline, I guess. But
it seems to have a story.
Yeah, I worked really hard to sort of put it together. But yeah, I had probably about 100 different tracks that were half finished that I thought need to be fit together somehow. And then it sort of just one day just clicked and made sense. But yeah, there's this one song called "The Trumpet Is Sounding," which mostly sampled this record I found from an evangelical preacher called Rex Humbard. And he was doing this talk about how the end times are coming, basically. Which I
think I've actually sampled very similar stuff to this. I think it might even be the same guy.
Yeah. He's very... I think he was... Because I have a lot of love. I used to go and to different, conspiracy meetings and different evangelical talks and things like that, just to sort of learn different
get a grasp of them, and have different point of views.
And I found this record in a shop, and to me, his passion coming through about the end times sounded a lot like this moment in a relationship that you're hearing these sounds that it sort of should probably end, and it's not a great sound to hear, so you sort of ignore it. And for a long time, I was looking for the perfect trumpet sound for a really long time. And then one day, I just was listening to a different record and heard it and was like, amazing. So I never know where it's specifically going all these songs, but eventually they just end up meeting.
Yeah, I have the same experience as I'm doing lyrics.
Yeah.
Like, I will start because the lyrics are the last thing to happen. Because you'll do your vocal lines. That doesn't mean you've actually got words to what you're doing, especially in guttural vocals. Like it's all grunts and yells and screams, and then you go, right, now I need to formulate this into something contextual. Yeah. And then it sort of just organically comes together at that point. And I have this moment where I go, did I subconsciously make it this way? Because, it just comes out of nowhere. An idea comes out of nowhere. Because what is an idea? Yeah. What is it? Like, it's not something, it doesn't exist prior to it being an idea. So it literally comes out of nowhere. And I wonder where that, in me, where that nowhere is. And where's that nowhere coming from, if that makes sense.
Totally, yeah. I don't know how to answer it. It's really,
it's a bizarre one.
It just happens, it just clicks, or it goes and then it comes and then goes if you don't capture it in that moment as well. Yeah, well,
I find it a bit paradoxical because if you're looking for something but you don't know what it is, you know what I mean? I'm looking for this thing. I don't know exactly what it looks like or what it sounds like, but I know what it is. But I don't know what it is. I find that very paradoxical. It's like then that's where those ideas are, and I find that a very strange plane of existence is it in that space. And when you get into that I think artists that get into that space often. That's why people go, why are you so prolific? How do you make all this work? And you go, because I need to stay in that space. Yeah. And I find that addictive. Sorry to my fellow band members. I've been hassling them. Give me a new riff. Jimmy. Need a new riff. Yeah. So I just find that stuff fascinating. But just to go back, you've friend or foe, you were in 2016. Do you have any films coming up? You still doing the film thing, or?
Yes, I'm doing. I wouldn't necessarily say the film thing, but definitely some video projects coming up. So. At the moment, I have a duo collaboration with a friend of mine, Bryce Mills, who's a broadcaster and comedian, and we've been making different videos under Online Safety Network is our little handle, and they're all sort of bizarre skits and things like that. One of them is a little series we have going called Jaywalk TV. And that is a sort of parody of, for lack of a better word, parody of sort of sites like youth culture sites like MTV, pedestrian TV, and things like that. That sort of really
pedestrian TV, Jaywalk. Yeah, I see.
A little bit, yeah. We try to get different I'm losing my words. We try to get these ideas that they have of selling youth's culture back to themselves with branding and sponsored content and things like that we sort of see online, and it sort of doesn't really hit. So that's one of our main sort of things we're doing in that, as well as different sort of documentary comedy things. So we go to events and meet witches and things like that, and hang out with them and interview them to get their stories, or cryptozoologists, people that hunt for yetis and yowies and things like that.
Have they caught any yowies?
We didn't get any on camera. Yeah. But they've been, trying to find them for a really long time and have really dedicated collections and things like that. Okay. So that's a big one, and also
that would be cool stories actually.
They have some wild stories. They're
good kind of people to talk to, people that are on the fringe like that, yeah.
Totally, and I think, especially people who hunt yowies, for example, they have these real experiences, to them at least, of being, chased by yowies or things like that.
Yeah, yowie, yeti, or what's the other word that they use?
The
abominable snowman and that sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah, so they have these real experiences. I can't disprove that, and I don't know if I had the same experience, I would equate it to the same thing maybe. But to these people, they have real experiences, so it's really interesting to talk to, and people dedicate their lives to, proving the existence of these things, and it's amazing. Yeah.
There must be a lot of patience trying to hunt Bigfoot and never catching Bigfoot. Like, that'd be really hard.
Totally. Yeah.
But I've got a mate who swears. He swears, like, I shit you not, he swears that he goes, Yetis exist. He reckons they exist in the Blue Mountains.
Yeah.
Yep, he hunts them in the Blue Mountains.
There's the biggest expert of cryptozoology in Australia is this guy called, I think his name is Rex Gilroy. He lives in the Blue Mountains. Has this huge collection of plaster feet casts. They're like this big of Yeti footprints and things like that. It's amazing.
They even make movies out in the Blue Mountains about Yetis, right?
Yeah.
There's been several films made about Yetis in the Blue Mountains.
Yeah.
Right?
And the Penrith Panther is another one, right? They think there's a big cat in
That's true.
Penrith.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know. I don't know. When someone starts talking to you like that, I find, don't be judgmental. Try not to be judgmental, because I don't think there's Yetis out there. I don't.
I agree with you. I don't think so either, but a lot of people do, so it's really interesting to hear their stories.
Yeah, well, there's part of me that goes, well, actually, there is a part of me that goes, I don't want to believe that there's Yetis out there. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I'd like that.
Yeah.
Well, how do you find, because you're doing events, because I've filmed several events, and I find it fascinating. I love doing interviews. How do you find shooting and doing interviews? Do you have a buzz for that?
I love it. Yeah. I love just... It's kind of a big reason why I used to do a little bit of work in radio and things like that too. It's a big reason why I wanted to get into that and get into film and things. Is just it's a great excuse to meet interesting people and have interesting conversations. And I love hearing about things people are passionate about, and the weirder the better. So and most people who are witches or Satanists or something like this, they love to talk about it. So so it's great to hear about it.
Great content, yeah.
Yeah.
But I find, especially, everything from doing, sports interviews to music interviews, you just learn so much.
Totally.
That's the buzz that I managed to figure out for myself years ago. You've done that twice now. I actually really like these coasters.
They're great.
Yeah, they're great little coasters. I like these.
Sunny days.
Yeah. I've got metal.
Wow.
Yeah, metal.
This one is Sunny Days.
Yeah. I just interviewing people is the buzz. Even sometimes you even got to interview people you don't want to interview. I've been down that track before, because I'm doing I was doing local news and this sort of thing. You interview people you don't want to interview, but you still learn something. That's the value I took away. You always learn something. And shooting events, I love being on the crew. It's always good having a lanyard.
Yeah. It feels great being just access all areas.
Yeah. That's it. You get behind the scenes.
In. Yeah.
I remember I did one at we're doing an interview at Featherdale, Featherdale Zoo, and we're in there rubbing the bellies of dingoes, and I remember thinking, when do you ever get to do that? You just get access backstage to everywhere when you're doing shooting events. I love it.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. And I think especially like you said about interviewing people you don't necessarily want to interview, there's always there's always something interesting about every person, I think. So there's always something you can tap into, or some perspective that you at least have never heard before, hopefully, if you can find it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like digging for it. That's what I learned about myself. I like, as I say, even, and 99.9% of the time I want to do the interview, but there's occasional, not so much recently that I've been doing my own work, because I go, I pick my own interviews. I don't get told who I have to interview.
Yeah.
But when you're working for someone, they go, you've got to go capture this content for me.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't like this person. I don't agree with their political agenda. I don't like them.
Yeah.
Why do I need to interview them?
Yeah.
But then sorry, I'm just no hard feelings. I still manage to learn things. and see different perspectives, and as well, not be judgmental. I guess it comes back to not being judgmental. So I'm not trying not to be judgmental. I think it's in human nature to be a little bit judgy.
Yeah,
but you try to pull that back in. Definitely. But so you've interviewed Satanists. How did that come up?
So I did this little segment on 2SER radio in Sydney. It was called Wake Up Sheeple. So I'd go and interview different people every week, or go to different events and things. And this one time there was a Satanist meeting, like a huge one, like a 10th anniversary of this little coven thing, and they had this mass, and they went through the mass and had all these people in cloaks and staves, and they were pretending to sacrifice somebody there, and all this wild things. And then afterwards was interviewing them, and they were just really regular people. Like, one person worked in IT at a prominent Sydney university, who was like the head of this Satanist group and stuff. So it's like really, I don't know, it's just really interesting that it just came up, just got a chance, and I got to come and interview them because I was from a radio station.
Yeah, well, a big shout out is it CER or SER?
To SER.
SER, yeah. I've done a few interviews for those guys. They're a good little radio station, because they're a good stepping stone, a good way into the industry.
Totally. Yeah.
They do a great job.
They really helped through uni and everything, sort of getting those skills up, and they give you a chance to produce shows or be on air if you want to practice and get up to that point. They're amazing.
No, so big shout out to those guys. The staff changes frequently, but whoever's running it right now, I'm sure you're good. When I think of Satanists, I think of a bald-headed guy with a pointed beard with piercings that have like spikes.
Yeah. So some people were like that. A lot of people were really like metalheads. Other people were really just like, in like a white t-shirt, blue jeans, just hanging out.
I think if I was a Satanist, though, I think I'd totally freak it up, and I'd like dress like a Mormon.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine going and knocking on someone's door. Would you like to hear the word of Satan?
Yeah.
Might freak some people out.
Have you heard of our Dark Lord and false light savior, Lucifer? That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. Safran, get on to that shit, man.
Yeah. Oh, I love John Safran. Yeah, he's a legend.
Well, he's a guy who started out in community radio, community TV. That's one of those examples of getting your foot in the door and doing something good. And it's a shame, recently they've pulled a lot of the nets in. Like, they've pulled in community TV, and they're pulling down community radio, and I think it's just a shame.
Yeah.
And I don't see... It's a wrecking ball to a building that is structurally sound. Like, it doesn't really make sense to me.
There's no real way to test the waters, I guess. I know Melbourne still has Channel 31, I think.
Yeah, they still have 31, but I think they're losing it in a couple of months.
Yeah, and we had TVS for a long time. And it's...
I grieve over TVS. Yeah, that was my baby.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I worked there for 5 years. Worked at TVS for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you got to do everything. That's the cool thing about community TV. I got to be a voiceover guy, got to be a news producer, got to be a cameraman, a broadcaster, an editor, a studio manager, studio operator.
Amazing.
Yeah, and we're getting on telly is a lot of fun, especially because I used to do the movie voiceovers for the Schlocky Horror Picture Show.
Amazing.
So it'd be like, coming up next on Television Sydney, the Schlocky Horror Picture Show.
That's a brilliant... That you were a voice actor for a reason.
Yeah, I still do it occasionally. Although I do enjoy doing the Made in the West. Made in the West is my Ocker guy. Yeah. Made in the West is coming up in 2020. I love doing that sort of stuff. It's a lot of fun. I think that's one of the things that got me out of being beat up a lot as a kid. Yeah, was being able to use my voice.
Really?
Yeah, because make people laugh. If you make someone laugh, it's hard for them to beat you up.
I agree with that. Yeah, that's how I got out of being bullied a bit too. Yeah.
Make them laugh a little bit, and then you get a bit more accepted.
Yeah.
And people don't, and they don't want to have ill will towards you because you make people laugh and you warm a room.
Yeah.
And I used to do that with voices. Before my voice broke, I could do Bart Simpson to the T.
Right.
Yeah. And I've lost that because bloody pituitary gland. But I still can do a lot of them. I've got a lot of them, and because it's interesting. The thing that interests me about your music that you do is because I do a lot of Foley.
Yeah.
In my spare time, which is crazy. It's a crazy thing to do. But I love doing Foley, and sometimes you get stuck. You don't have the object to make the sound, so I generally just do it myself.
Yeah.
I had there was a match that I had to get lit in a scene once, and I was the match. I just. All right, and I love doing sounds, especially organically, and that's why I like people that do scatting as well. Love scatters, man.
Yeah.
I think that stuff's really cool.
That's great. You could do it in real time on set. Just like light a match. You should try it.
Blowing some horns. But I think I'm just born in the wrong era. If I was born in the era of radio where they needed people to do that sort of thing, and that's where Foley comes from, is from the radio era. I would have loved to be on that was it Orson Welles
War of the Worlds,
and doing all of those sounds, because that would have been really futuristic for the time, right? And and you've heard all the horror stories where people are like jumping out of windows because the Martians are coming, which I think is hilarious.
There's a couple of War of the Worlds samples in Time for Love, the album.
The actual album, the War of the Worlds album.
Yeah, so I had a record of War of the Worlds. So I took a couple of little futuristic spaceship sounds and things like that, and threw them in.
I fucking love that album so much. I did an internet air quotations challenge. Don't know if it's challenging, but I had to put an album up that influenced my life every day.
Yep.
And War of the Worlds, I think, was number 2 or 3 on my list of albums that have influenced me. And it was strange because I had to reflect on because I didn't just want to put out albums I liked. I actually wanted to put out albums that changed my way of thinking about music. And I thought War of the Worlds, it's musical, but it's more of this story. And then I started thinking, but isn't music just a story, Ross? Isn't it all just a story? The whole thing is a story. But yeah, I used to. My mother used to put on War of the Worlds when I was younger on vinyl, and in the vinyl packet you had like the whole booklet of War of the Worlds, and I used to read that as she would play it. I just absolutely love that album. It takes me way back. And Richard Burton, man, he was boss.
And I think it's that album's definitely influenced me in. I try to create things that seem like outside of music stuff, at least in video works. I try to make things really as if they are real. If they're skits or something, they're like real. So this, for example, this breakfast thing we were talking about before,
cereal every day.
Breakfast. It was sponsored by another brand called Man Brand that I created as a sort of like faux Nutri-Grain.
Should we want to figure it out? Like, is this real?
Yeah. So this
that's hilarious.
This
you guys got to check it out. It's hilarious.
So this I don't know. I feel like a lot of cereal brands. I want to call out Nutri-Grain for this. Like really, they really target it in the advertising, really masculine and whatever. But it's just
they've gone for the bronze god.
Totally.
You've got 2 masculine heroes in Australia, and that's the Anzac and the bronze god.
Totally.
Like the lifesaver.
Yeah. So they've gone for this or this Iron Man sort of guys, and all the ads for Nutri-Grain are all like, yeah, we're eating cereal. And so I wanted to call...
Pumping iron and eating cereal, swimming on the beach for hours on end.
Yeah, so I just thought it was funny. And but I wanted to do something that was sort of added another layer. So I created this cereal Instagram account and all these ads for it, and made a little... like another aspect to the world. And also when we do this Jaywalk TV thing, we have a Jaywalk TV Instagram. We create all these other extra bits of content that are, it adds another layer just outside of it just being a video, like a passing video. I don't know. So this War of the Worlds album's really, when it came out, people thought it was real. People thought it was happening.
Yeah.
And
they did.
so... I don't know. I love that idea of someone just buying into it. Maybe that feels a bit mean of like, buying
That's what I mean. I think it's hilarious. I resonate with it. I think it's hilarious that people did that. But with War of the Worlds, though, for me, it's the ultimate album because it's got music and it's Foley. It's the intersection of things that I love.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. And the working art on it. Just totally awesome. If you guys haven't checked out War of the Worlds, check it out. Get out from under your rock. But look, I think we've run out of time, Tim. So I could talk to you for another hour.
Yeah,
another 2.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Man, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been an absolute hoot. So where can people find your album? Just once again, let me get this right. Time for Love.
So Time for Love can be found on roundheygardenscene.bandcamp.com, or you can find the album and all the work I do on my Instagram at roundheygardenscene, or timcheeseman.info on the internet.
Yeah, all right. And I also, and check him out on YouTube because you've got some stuff on YouTube under Tim Cheeseman.
Yes.
Totally recommend that. And by the way, if you're on YouTube at the time, don't forget to subscribe to the Pagey Train, and you can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Anchor. And I'm pretty sure I'm out in another few other platforms. If you guys can find them, please let me know what they are. And look, once again, it's been great having you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
Right. Boom. It's done. All right, man, that was a really good show. Thank you so much for doing that.
No, thanks so much for having me. It's been brilliant. Yeah.